And so divination or oracular arts wasn't just about seeing the future. It was about tuning into the wisdom teachings from our root systems and our origins and communing with the future to see how the ancient and the future come together now on behalf of what's relevant for the evolution of humanity and society.
Wise Talks, cross-cultural wisdom for a harmonious world.
Welcome back, listeners. I'm Alex Wise, and today we're putting on our wisdom hats and tapping into the mystical. This episode is like finding a secret doorway deep inside an ancient pyramid, because we are about to get into some magic. Our guest's work is wrapped in myth, ritual, and a deep fascination for ancient Egyptian culture. Isis is a modern-day educator, visionary, and the founder of the Academy of Oracle Arts, dedicated to rekindling our connection to the sacred. She brings a rare gift for bridging traditions with the needs of our modern world. Whether you're a seasoned spiritual seeker or simply curious about decoding your dreams, you're in the right place. Isis is with us today to illuminate the path of modern oracle and help us to connect with our deepest intuition. So let's dive in. Welcome, Isis, to our amazing podcast studio, to Wise Talks. I'm really excited about our conversation because I'm very curious about the ancient wisdom, especially ancient Egyptian wisdom. Yeah, I know also our community is excited to hear what you will share. We just want to hear your wisdom, and I have a lot of great questions for you. I know you're really busy. You have a lot of students and a lot of activities that you're doing, but thank you for coming to our studio. And let's start.
Well, thank you so much, Alex, and to the Wise community. Real honored to be here. And, you know, in my culture, I come from Guam. We say half a day. And so I come on behalf of my ancestors today and to say also, you know, thank you for hosting just incredible conversations like this. It feels like really important for this next level of humanity's evolution. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Let's start with your personal journey. How did your youth, background, and personal experiences shape your calling towards ancient Egyptian cosmology and spiritual education?
Such a deep question. Where do you begin? Well, you know, I was born in Mesa, Arizona, raised on the island of Guam, Guahan. So again, I'm Chamorro, Tsamoto people. And Guam's this tiny little island. You can drive around the island in 2 hours. And it's on top of one of the tallest mountains in the world called Mount Lam Lam that is on the Marianas Trench. It's this tiny island in Micronesia. And it's made up of villages. And when my mom died when I was 4.5, and my interest and desire to connect with the unseen, invisible, was really to commune with her. So I really feel like she's a big part of my whole journey in communing with the more than human realms. And then we moved to Guam, and I lived immediately with my grandma after she passed, and aunties, and lived in like villages. And so I was raised very much around not only the ocean, grandmother ocean, but also a lot of matriarchs, a lot of women. And my dad just surrounded me with grandmas and aunties and cousins. And, you know, Guam's very much like that. Again, it's made up of villages. So everybody knows everybody, everybody's related. And so something that my family was really big on is this, that I'm still learning about, is this consciousness called Unaphamaulik, which is one aspect of this massive concept, is a way to maintain harmony between all things. It's rooted in deep respect.
How it's called?
Unaphamaulik. And so that was something that respect was really big in our culture and tradition.
Amazing.
And, you know, not having a mom, but then being surrounded by mothers and matriarchs and grandmas, there was still this longing that I had to be with her. And I kind of went through a pretty dark phase in my young years, you know, through school and all these things, getting into trouble and being a rebel, like probably most of us are. And then I moved to Seattle to go to college, and I started really, when I was 17, getting deep into I started doing psychedelics before that on Guam, And then when I moved to Seattle, I got pretty deep in psychedelics. Started throwing events called Sealy Court because I was seeing a lot of fairies and gnomes because I was eating a lot of mushrooms. And I called it Sealy Court, my friend Ed and I, and it was where the fairies and the fae and the gnomes would dance. When a human would enter, it would disappear for 100 years. And so I was just producing these events with our community, and we were doing ritual theater and psychedelics and just traveling as deep as we could go and as far as we could go. And then through a series of consistent, continual magical events, you know, still, this crystal ball came into my field called the Oracle. And this was in 2001. Three was my ex-partner, Osiris, Michael, and I started this thing called the Oracle Gatherings because of this crystal ball.
Nice.
And so then we did 10 years. We built our own tarot deck of 23 archetypes, and we did 10 years of events.
Is it still possible to buy it?
No.
It's not.
No. Each event was like you rip the card.
Okay.
And within that 10-year period, we're all babies. We were magnetizing all kinds of things. Like I magnetized a lot of amazing teachers. You know, I remember when I was being initiated into Reiki when I was about 17. I was initiated into the name Isis. I didn't even know who she was. And then I was studying transpersonal psychology, and I was studying Stargates. And my Stargate teacher was following her teacher to Egypt, to Kemet. I was, I think, 19. So I sold everything, went to Egypt.
Wow, for how many years?
Well,
or just to go.
I just went for a month, not knowing anything about anything, and essentially followed my teacher and her following her teacher. And that really began my journey in Kemet in Egypt. And then, but through the Oracle gatherings and all the events, I kept magnetizing teachers and like medicine guides and mystery schools. I studied in a couple different mystery schools and continued my journeys with entheogens, and we would work with the crystal ball with different medicines, and then whatever we would learn, we would then develop. So all these things, I mean, I could go on and on until the break of dawn. And through a lot of my visions with these plant medicines and other medicines too, I kept seeing more.
So
Egypt.
you became an oracle, right? And you started. Did you start predicting the future?
Well, you know, it's so interesting with, you know, oracular arts because, you know, most of the time when we think of an oracle, we think of like the fortune tellers in the circus where they have the crystal ball and the cute hat. And it's really beautiful, actually, the traditions of circus arts, because it was really a time where mystical teachings were being passed amongst cultures and traditions, particularly in Europe, at least in this context. And through that doorway, when I started getting into the divinatory arts through this crystal ball, I started like learning about all the mancies, like, you know, lithomancy, throwing stones, pyromancy, reading fire, hydromancy, reading water, capnomancy, reading smoke. And then as I was going further into the divinatory arts, oracular arts, I was like, wow, you can kind of read everything. And then I started going into origin cultures and traditions, and I started learning, I'm still learning, that each and every one of our origin traditions, our root systems, have a lineage or study or mystical teachings around oracular arts, but maybe not that term. And the old tradition, some of the old traditions were around, and this is where we get to ancient Egypt, the function of ritual in ancient Egypt and Kemet is to maintain the bonds between the human realm, the natural realm, and the divine. And part of how you maintain the bonds, like bonding rituals, a bonding way of life, we bond, is to divine and ask questions about what offerings to make or how to tend to the evolution of humanity and how to craft as three realms, us as humans, the natural world, and the divine. And so divination or oracular arts wasn't just about seeing the future. It was about tuning into the wisdom teachings from our root systems and our origins and communing with the future to see how the ancient and the future come together now on behalf of what's relevant for the evolution of humanity and society.
So Do you think like everyone can develop this talent of being oracle, or this is something that you need to be born with?
Honestly, I feel like my personal opinion is that everyone this is natural to who we are. We just forgot, and we're just remembering again. And each and every one of our bloodlines, made up of so many different wisdom, cultures, and traditions, there are mystical teachings around how to open up these natural, intuitive, hypersensory oriented states. And the tradition, one of the traditions I study, and there's multiple intelligences, not just one. You have your clairaudience, clairvoyance, clairsentience, claircognizance. That's like 4 of 32 at the minimum. And the more we are part of talks like this and engaging in cultural revival and like developing and strengthening our senses, more just gets turned on, and the great forgetting becomes forgiving and remembering.
Right.
And that's what we're doing.
And what do you think? Many people are saying that women has like a better kind of like intuition, and this oracular talent. Do you see men also practicing this as well?
100%. And when we first started our school, it was all women, and my husband would always be like, "Babe, this is like a women's thing." I was like, "Babe, it's not," And then over time, men started coming, and to spirit, but all different gender fluidity, all the beings start coming, human and more than human. And it's because it's natural to each and every one of us. We just turn them on in different ways. Oftentimes, oracular art is specific to a certain kind of channeling or seership or mediumship. But really, as we engage our natural state, we're realizing there's all different kinds of ways to do this. And we're just turning on more of our different intelligences, and we help each other out, and we're doing it together. Because everyone sees different things. And then together they kind of weave a basket. And we're at this time now, even there's a lot of studies around this through varying colonizing processes. So we're at a time now where we're turning everything back on. There's no such thing as junk DNA.
Yeah, right.
We're turning on the DNA, and, we have to do it together.
Yes, everything was forgotten, and now we remembering every day more and more. We see a lot of things happening right now in terms of remembering ancient Egyptian philosophies and wisdom, and so all this brought you to create the Academy of Oracle Arts, right? At some point, can you please share how it's all started and what is the Academy of Oracle Arts?
It's always interesting to think about when something started, because along the path there's different moments of signposts that lead to something. It's called the Academy of Oracle Arts because of the crystal ball that's named the Oracle. So it's named after the crystal ball. And I kind of see this crystal ball, I 100% see this crystal ball as a magnetic attractor. It's like a computer. And it magnetizes towards it. And my job is to listen, pay attention, study, and serve. And through a series of magical events connected to the dance floor, of course, and psychedelics, I reconnected with the spirit of the crystal ball in a new way, because at that time I wasn't with the crystal ball, I was with Michael. And my question was, and I'm being very honest, I don't really tell this out loud to people very often, so I might sound like a crazy person, but who's to say what's sane in an insane world? So with that said, I saw the oracle again, the spirit of her, in a ceremony, and I was like, why? And at this time, I had just read a letter that Chief Arvel Looking Horse wrote to Obama when Obama was president. And the letter was around, why are indigenous voices silenced and why are they not recognized? And he was particularly referencing Turtle Island, North origin, original peoples, First Nations peoples. And I asked the crystal ball, I was like, what is this, And she was like, well, the war in the world is not specific to humans, that there were Star Wars. And so embedded in some of our made up of the earth and made up of the stars. Memory of colonization is connected to this. And I was like, okay, well, what do we do? And she, of course, there was more to that story. And she's like, you start developing a culture where these different origin peoples and star peoples start to create and shape and make and create peace and harmony at the table. Mm-hmm. And this was a while ago, and I was like, okay. I started doing that. And asked for the crystal ball to come back. And then when the crystal ball came back, all of these beautiful women started asking to study with me. And I was like, me? Like, what do you want to study about,
Nice.
And then they put me on camera and YouTube. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even know how to, I don't even think I had a YouTube account at the time. And I still don't even know if I do now. But anyways, they put me on YouTube and I started teaching during COVID 3 times a week. And then it led to the Oracle Arts Apprenticeship that led to the school.
Amazing.
But the mission of the school, the original prayer, I had received it during the Oracle Gatherings time. So it was 15 years before it. And what the mission was first and foremost, I was studying with a lot of indigenous wisdom carriers. And I still am, always will be. And I was like, what's the deal here? Why are these voices not leading the way? And also, they shouldn't be trying to figure out how to make money. You know what I'm saying? We're not trying to do that. Mm-hmm. So what can I do to support generating for them so that they can share their wisdom? That was one of the first prayers. And then the second prayer was around, least in our stories of the rise and fall of humanity and the different flood periods.
Right.
I'm like, well, what has lasted through the ages? Mm-hmm. And this is the mystery teachings, the sacred arts and sciences. And so the school is to support the mystery teachings and the root systems, origin, earth, wisdom, traditions, teachings, the sacred arts and sciences, to support these teachings carrying forward and support a school of the mysteries and earth wisdom traditions.
Mm-hmm. Can you give us some examples of teachings and programs that you have?
Oh my God, there's so many examples. Well, there's a lot of different teachers. Mm-hmm. I focus obviously on oracle arts, but we also have Grandmother Marza Morlar. She teaches all different kinds of earth wisdom traditions, Lodge of the Four Winds, as an example.
And she's indigenous, right?
She's indigenous. She's Ojibwe and Celtic. She's a combo. She's also a voice for the Hopi. So she's also one of the teachers. And then also we have Oud Baras, who's focused on the Christian mystical tradition and particularly the Magdalene stories. I mean, I could go on and on. Matthew Merlin, he teaches astrology as well as Greek mystical traditions, mythology, everything from root origin earth wisdom traditions to mythical studies to archetypal studies to ritual practice.
Amazing.
How to apply it.
And you have online school only online or also offline as well?
Both. Mm-hmm. So we have the online platform as well as oftentimes we'll do immersions, in-person immersions. And now we have a brick and mortar called Omari in Nevada City where we also have ritual craft upstairs and tea culture. And then we have our classes downstairs, plus the online platform. And then, of course, immersions and retreats all over the world.
How does your curriculum of ancient wisdom help in the modern world with personal growth, business, or leadership?
Well, I feel to help us move forward, we got to go back. Remember who we are, restore our memory. Yeah.
Do you believe in an ancestral future?
Yes, 100%. 100%. And I feel a big part of this timeline is cleaning, clearing, healing, tending to our ancestral dynamics and elevating our ancestors so we can be the dream of our ancestors really strong and come forward as the living dream of our ancestors, healthy, well, and elevated, And I feel part of this time is going back to our origins to not only realize who we are, because this is the time of the great unveiling. We're seeing more now than it's insane. Like the amount of uncovering, the apocalypse, the unveiling that's happening right now. We're realizing we're way older than we thought,
100%.
or that we've been told. And so going back to realizing, wait, are we 10,500 years? Are we 12,000? Are we 30,000? Are we 100,000? What was life like then? This helps us attune to the future because there are a lot of different timelines available to us. And the choices we make now are connected to the future we're calling in. But in order to make good choices, we got to learn from the past.
It's kind of like making one step back to make two steps forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I really feel that. And also, too, we're in this time where, like, time bends. Like, a thought 5 minutes ago is connected to a memory 10,000 years ago. It's like, we've been here before. We're just remembering how we did it. It's like that feeling all the time now.
Yeah, that's definitely. Every day we remember more and more. And and we know that we can build something more beautiful. And personally, like, I see that, I remember that we have infinite potential, and basically humans can do so much. And what we learn in school and pretty much from our even parents, it's a lot of limitations. And now we kind of like learn how to unlock the whole potential and have the best time on Earth. And we know that it's possible to live way better life.
And it feels like amongst a lot of grief in the world of what's happening and lamentation, and also like the intensity and even the suffering of the world, it also feels like a form of activism is to actually feel joy and like stand by joy and beauty and build it,
Yeah, how my friend is saying, your job is to be happy. Like every day you need to be happy, basically, and work towards that. Yeah, I'm also saying that I cannot understand, why we live on the most beautiful planet in the universe, and where everything's perfect. Animals, nature, the water, we have everything is like, the amount of sun is just, it's all perfect. But I call it planet. This planet is like paradise planet. We see that most of the people are living in hell, unfortunately, like majority. At WISE, we're trying to figure out why we have the best technologies, best planet, and so much wisdom and knowledge, and people are not getting happier. I just want to say also thank you for all what you're doing with your academy. And from your experience, do you see many people changing lives after learning at the academy? And maybe you can share some stories as well.
All hands, hearts, minds, bodies, and spirits on deck. You know what I mean? This time. And, a lot of the academy was very, and still is deeply inspired by this prophecy called the Shambhala warrior prophecy that I learned from Joanna Macy, who got it from the Tashijang community, Dugu Chugyo Rinpoche. She is now an ancestor. But she says in the prophecy, and I highly encourage everyone to listen to it directly from her because it's a code. But she says something like, at a time when the future of all life is hanging by a thread and these barbarian forces are seemingly doing what they can to annihilate each other. At this time, these Shambhala warriors arrive. And you can't tell who they are. They don't have a certain signature look or a symbol. They are they're everywhere, and they just get up to be here for this time, and they don't even necessarily entirely know why, but they're here to help this moment in history, in our human transition.
And I know that many of them doing a lot of things, but they don't know even what they're doing, and nobody knows what they're doing. That's kind of like how it's designed. So many those warriors doing different parts, but there is like a bigger goal of all this.
And they feel this call, and they remember that, so much of the world can be made by the mind, made by the human mind, and unmade by the human mind, and made by our habits, our priorities, our choices, and our habits, not by some extraterrestrial force or some evil being. It's like our habits, our priorities, and our choices. Mano Maya. That's what they say in the prophecy. And we're in this moment now where we're recognizing how powerful our choices and our priorities are and what that creates and shapes. And feeling the fiery heat of compassion to like see what's happening in the world, not to shy away from it. And then also feeling how interdependent everything is and the deep insight of how interdependent everything is. And in the world of prayer, there's a study, Greg Braden, my dear sister Beta, around when we create a field of coherence in prayer, that it sends a rippling effect far beyond what we could ever see. We just got to stay with it. And as we stay with it and we commune with it, and we can connect and feel that coherence, it doesn't take that long. It's actually fairly quick. And the hardest part for us as humans is how to center the mind. We feel our heart, but then the mind is like distractions, ceremony. Like the mind just goes all over the place. And how do we
master the mind?
Yeah, stay with it so that we can be fully available for this moment of transition. And in the Shambhala prophecy, they say, we don't know what it's going to look like. There's no like determining completion of the prophecy, like all these prophecies that are happening right now. So many cultures and traditions talk about this is the time of the prophecies. It's like, well, the whole point is the not knowingness, because that's the birthplace of everything. And so we're in this like beautiful moment of crafting and shaping in a way that we are remembering back into existence again. And so the thing is like, we all chose to be born at this time anyway, so let's do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it. Just want to be here fully. Sometimes it's so easy to like get distracted or not be here fully, and enjoy it in its most intensity.
Yeah.
Love it all the way. The only way out is through. The only way through is in. Let's like love it all the way. That's kind of how I feel about it.
What is the most important in this kind of like transformation that we are going through right now, like transformation of humanity? To me, like I see that the good community, the proper people around you is what is significant and helpful to elevate your consciousness and also to get to the next level of human evolution, basically. I
totally agree. It's like whom we surround ourselves with influence us, and they affect how we influence. I love this quote by Wayne Dyer. I just like literally probably say this quote every day. When we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. Perception is like everything. I'm constantly like tending to my own perception. And also to protect our imagination, and protect our children's imagination. I love this magi nation. I'm a magi, a magician of my nation, and how to like care for our imagination so it just doesn't get absorbed or like sucked up into something else where we aren't available for what's emergent and what wants to emerge in the center. Because this is also really wild. One of my elders, Mahmoud in Kemet, Egypt, he's always like, anywhere you dig, Isis, you will find something. And we're in this moment where in the unveiling, what we thought is all changing live every day, plus all these future technologies. So we can't even hold on to what we think we know, because it's all up for conversation and discussion anyways. You know what I mean? So there's also this like deep inner knowingness versus the like I know. It's like a deep inner knowingness that's connected to like awe and wonder and curiosity and discovery, while feeling rooted and like caring for what is meaningful and the water. To me, what feels most important too, in alignment with what you shared, is like protecting the water. The holy feminine spirit of all life.
Yeah.
I could go on and on and on.
Yes, thank you for sharing. So also, we know that you are organizing trips to Egypt. Can you please tell us about those experiences and what are the Kemet initiation journeys, and what inspired you to create those immersive experiences?
Well, first and foremost, I'm just a nerd. I love studying. I love learning from particularly ancient cultures and traditions too. And something I keep discovering in my relationship with Kemet in Egypt is every time I go there, I'm just like, okay, I don't know. Here I am. And with that, it's because ancient Egypt has been such a huge piece of some of our origin stories and memories. A lot of us, we travel with these in all these different ways. We're at deep trance states in any form, whether it's like dance culture, yogic practices, interdimensional experiences, entheogens, things like that. And a lot of us, these symbols emerge, like the Ankh and the scarab. And
especially lately. And, in the Rosicrucian tradition, or particularly Robert Gilbert talks about in, bless him, he's an ancestor now. Thank you, Robert. He says that in the Rosicrucian tradition, they talk about this timeline right now where a really helpful reflection is ancient Egypt, because some of the deeper teachings of ancient Egypt help us restore our memory to help us build this new era. Not that we're going to do exactly the same, but we have so much to learn, because when we think about it, it's like bananas. Not only is the Great Pyramid the largest pyramid that we know of, who knows what we're going to discover next week, but at least today. Yeah.
The only standing ancient wonder of the world that we know of that's 8-sided. It's also in this community of so many pyramids all across the
How many pyramids approximately was discovered?
Well, so far 216, but I mean, in the world or in Kemet?
In the world.
Oh, I don't know. We should
a lot,
ask. Do we ask ChatGPT? I don't know. You know what I mean?
Because I've seen there have been discovered pyramids like in Indonesia, in China.
Oh, yeah. Nubia. I mean, sorry. there's so many different kinds. There's like the Nubian pyramids. Yeah. China, yeah, for sure. But also in Kemet, I love this so much. Well, Kemet, Egypt, the original name for Egypt is Kemet. And it means chem, like black, fertile soil. Black, rich, fertile soil. The word alchemy comes from Kemet, and the al is Arabic, So there's a really big teachings around the alchemical and agricultural practices of bonding with the humans, the natural world, and the divine. And one of the things I love about it is the Nile, which is the life-giving waters of Egypt, has two root systems. The blue and the white are Ethiopia and Uganda, so they play a big role in this. They meet in Khartoum, and it travels north. And it used to open up into 7 tributaries. So if you looked at it like a topographical map, it looked like the Lotus.
Right.
And all along the Nile, you have so many temples. You have the west and the east. And a lot of the tombs are in the west, and a lot of the temples that receive the light are in the east. Not only, but always, a lot of that. And the mythical stories of Osiris, Assad, are related to these temples. So when one would go on a pilgrimage and go on the initiation journey, part of restoring the memory is to go to these different temples to make offerings first and foremost. And through the offerings, if the gates choose to open, receive instructions and receive a remembrance on how to reunite parts of fractured self or fractured soul or the fractured humanity back into wholeness again. When you go on the journey making offerings, and then go to the Giza Plateau, which, the Great Pyramid, Saqqara, oh my God, and the Sphinx, to then go through initiation to then commune with all kinds of things. Go through the great initiation.
Yeah, I'm really excited to go with you.
I can't wait.
Yeah, to remember even more. How many temples are you visiting during the trip?
How many? And this is where it brings up like, well, what is a temple? There's like stone temples, and then there's like earth mound temples, and then there's the water. but at the minimum, between 8 and 10. And we really do our best to, and we have private time, and at least 8 of them, to really commune with the way that I feel it, like the living wisdom of the stone beings with the light. Because in Kemet, part of it was to feast, as Normandy Ellis says, feast the light or track the light. Because like where the light tracks comes in through different temples, they believe was information from the future. Because by the time light hits here, it's coming from the future. So you'd receive information from the future to help instruct how to tend to the evolution of this time for humanity in the more than human realms. So we like to be there during important moments where the light comes in.
Oh, so you go in like a specific time to those trips, yeah. So when is the next one?
January.
And what's gonna happen? What kind of like event?
We will see. You know what I mean? That's the other thing. Every time we go, it's like, at least from my own learning, every group that goes is restoring a memory of that particular group. So maybe everyone just met each other for the first time in this life, but it's like, we all been here before. We're just trying to remember what each other's names are. And then there's like a relationship of that particular group. So what happens in that group is never exactly the same as a different one. No 2 trips are the same. Maybe we have a similar outline, but what reveals itself is related to the ancestors that come to restore and repair between the people.
Amazing. I'm definitely going with you to the Egypt because in my case, first kind of like wave of awakening and remembering I had through indigenous. And that's brought me to ancient Egyptian wisdom and also memories too. So, but definitely when I'm going to be there, I'm pretty sure it's going to keep unfolding. And yeah, I'm really excited because I believe that, it was a really strong, powerful philosophy, a deep spirituality that can help us in this modern world. There are a lot of great pieces of wisdom, like in different parts of the world, and now we need to kind of like put it together. It was like scattered, and now we got something in ancient Egypt, something in indigenous philosophies, and something in like Vedic, for example, or Chinese. And now we need to kind of like put it back, put all those best pieces so we can, again, thrive and have a joyful life. That's why we're here. We're here to have fun and not to struggle and as I was mentioning, to live in hell. This is the beautiful place to have a good human experience and time to remember, and also kind of like figure out how we can build some better systems and better technologies, and so we can enjoy this human experience.
Yeah, in Kemet, some of the ancient Egyptian lineage teachings, we came here for the purpose to transform and transmute, and in some forms transfigurate. And through our genuine work of transformation, like you shared from last weekend, the deep transformation that we go through serves obviously us, but also serves consciousness. And part of that work of transformation is part of why we are navigating what some refer to as hell or the underworld. And the more we transform and transmute, the more that shifts the field and how to tend to the field. And I really believe that, I like every kind of unfolding that I go through from my own interior temple, like my personal healing and my personal ancestral healing. I feel like it helps my family, my relationships, my community. It's similar as when they do. Because the more that we like to call it, we're each a multifaceted jewel. And we polish each other. Like you see a part of my polish that could use some cleaning, and I see a part of yours, and we help each other shine more.
That's how it should be, yeah. But unfortunately, some people are making others even dirty, like more dirty, you know? Yeah. Honestly, like we see that kind of like the whole world is upside down a little bit. And now we're kind of like, okay, it's all completely wrong. And like the truth is coming to the surface. As even like recently this like giant structure was discovered under the pyramids of Giza. And more and more we understand that a lot of things was not truthful. And and we're definitely, our story is longer, and we've been here before. It was many other cycles and civilizations, you know, that was rising and falling. So it's a time of truth, and every day something is like uncovering. What do you think about those structures, and in general? Do you think it was human made, human built?
The particular underground, So I mean, this is what I love about the Rosicrucian tradition is they had maps that all under the Sphinx and the Great Pyramid and all under the plateau, that there was an entire underground network. And before the release of that particular imagery and through all the technology, I had gone underneath the Osirian shaft, which is 100 meters down. And I remember going 100 meters down, and then one of my friends that was with me said, you know, it goes further. And so it's like what you shared, like this has actually been known for a while now, but blocked.
Yeah.
And was it made by humans? And this were like, well, what's a human? You know what I mean? We're kind of in that discussion. You know, I love this phrase, divine human nature, because it has all three together, like humans, nature, and the divine. And then it kind of resurrects our divine human nature, where we're like, well, we're made up of nature. We're also made up of the divine, and we're human. So what are we? You know what I mean? I feel like we're discovering who we really are and what our potential is, and actually the intelligences that we do have. So I feel like we're made of the stars and the dust. So did we make these things? I think we were definitely of the lineage, or part of making these things for sure.
But I think definitely you needed some very advanced like machines or something to really build it.
Gold with all these precious metals. That some of the stories of the star beings is, you know, they needed the gold for like space travel. And so like these magnificent metals that run through the earth that are like what help ships fly are here. So I'm like, well, where did we come from? You know, who are we? And, you know, I have all kinds of thoughts and opinions about it. And
I'm coming from Lyra.
I
know where I'm coming from.
I can see it in your lion face, you know.
So I already kind of like figure out, but many people are still discovering. Many people even doesn't know that it's possible to really figure out who you are, and there is way more beyond, you know, like this life.
Yeah.
And pretty much you got not just this life. Your life is like many lives, many rebirths.
Yeah.
I, for example, like I got my kind of like project that I'm building already, like starting like 10,000 years ago, you know, like, and then just rebirth, like reincarnating and keep adding different pieces. Yeah, and even planning my next rebirth.
Well, because this is the other thing. I wonder if you experience this with the divination board, where it's like things are coming through me and coming through others, and we put it together. And it's like, this isn't like mine. But even though it came through me, it's something that I, like with the Oracle Divination Board as an example, the divination technology, I'm still studying from it, even though like it came to me in a vision. So I'm like, well, where do visions come from? Are they mine? Like all the visions that I have, which ones are the ones I'm meant to tend to? And which ones are collective visions or memories from the past or from the future? You know? And we're like, what creates this? And how does time bend from like a memory of 10,000 years ago that was a thought we had we're going to have in the next 5 minutes? You know?
Yeah.
It's a really interesting experience. And this is where the oracular arts comes in, because it's,
And you just
you know,
channeling basically, and
all we gotta do is cleanse and purify every day, all the time. You know, a lot of the old ritual traditions, 90% of it is cleansing and clearing and purifying. And the more clear we become, the more we're attuned to what is revealing itself to us and through us. It's kind of how I like to feel it, see it, attuned to it.
yeah, I just was thinking recently about like purifying, like deeply thinking about purification of your mind, body, and spirit, because like mostly like we had all those three things are dirty, and people say like you got dirty mind, for example. That's when you got this programming that is like unhealthy, basically. And also like when you eat something unhealthy, you got dirty body, like. And now I'm really focusing on purification, all those three components of me. And the more pure you are, the better like connection with divine you have, and better network, and better projects, more joy, more fun.
Absolutely. Cleanse and purify. And, you know, in the prayer of like food sovereignty and like clean water for everybody. And, you know, I also feel like I've been, like in some of the old mystery school traditions, like we train. We fortify ourselves and we train. We train the mind, the body, the spirit, the heart. Feel the heart train for these times. I feel like this is also in relationship to you, what you shared, purification and cleansing, and also like training. You know, like it's so easy sometimes for my mind to just go into all these places, and how do I like stay right here with the part of it is like the body, like what you're sharing and like what we eat, and also the privilege of having good food, and how do we support good fertile soil all across the earth with like orchards and you know, food everywhere that's good quality, so that all of our relations, you know, it's a big part of it too, is like the prayer for these things. Because, you know, Sahara, they're planting how many trees now? It's like in the Amazon Benki, I think he's in his life already, he's planted about 1 million trees.
Yeah.
It's like we know we can do it. Just like clean the mind and the body and the heart and spirit to really tend to what needs to be tended to also.
Yeah, and especially when you did it once, you know, like, of course, sometimes you got some things, you know, like you watch some movie, you know, like, and something like when I came to your field, or you still like had some food that is maybe like not super healthy. But as soon as you purified yourself once, you always know where you need to be and how to get back to this kind of like purification mode, you know, like, or, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's what pretty much indigenous, I think, teaching a lot, you know, the diets and different practices like Vision Quest, for example. And I think it's across many like traditions. It was kind of like crucial to like fasting, to do fasting, you know, like, or diets, or also, even like as indigenous, to be by yourself for a year. So you're kind of like, like in Yawanawa, they like 1 year outside of the tribe and just with nature and their thoughts.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I have not done that.
Not yet.
A whole year. Wow.
All right, so let's talk more about the ancient Egypt cosmology. Can you introduce us to main principles of ancient Egyptian cosmology?
I love this. In the kind of world of divinities, one of the terms for the different cosmic forces, they're called the Netjer, or the Netjer. And more modern day, we would reference them as like gods and goddesses. They're called the Netjer. And the symbol, the hieroglyphic for the Netjer, it looks like a flag. And most of the time when people think of Kemet, Egypt, they think of pyramids and mummies. It's like usually now probably more modern day would be Ankh, the Ankh, which is a symbol of eternal life and much more than that. But in the symbol of the flag of the Netjer, it's symbols, it represents a few different things. One of them is like a cocoon, like a chrysalis, because when the body is mummified, a lot of times too, you think of the afterlife with Kemet in Egypt. One of the stories is when they would remove the different organs and they'd put them in what they're called canopic jars, and they'd take the heart out, clean the heart, put the heart back in, remove the brain, and then wrap the body in a linen, which is called the body of Neith, this Netjer, the mother, grandmother. Grandmother is wise as a serpent, actually, is one of her symbols. Anyways, they wrap the body in the linen, like the symbol, like the staff. And they believed that when the soul went on a journey into the afterlife, death was revered, is revered, and it would go through all these different gates in what's called the Imiduat. And they reached this point of the great weighing with Maat. And they'd weigh the heart against the feather of Maat. And if the heart was heavier than the feather, then the soul would be eaten by Ammit, and the great devourer, and have to experience in their life or go into a different dimension. And if
it's lighter,
move on to the field of peace, the place of Asar.
Did they believe that you can come back to kind of like human experience?
Yep. Sometimes the Ammit would take you back, or you could choose to come back.
Nice.
And then the soul would then become a butterfly and enter into the celestial river. And so the mummification symbolized in one form the cocoon, and then the soul becoming a butterfly. And then in the symbol of the Netjer, the Ntr, that symbol of the flag or the mummification was also a symbol of the resurrected Djed, the body. We each have a Djed, our spine. And the Djed, D-J-E-D, was the spine of Osiris. That's where the term Jedi comes from. Like the Djed is your spine, your eye is your inner eye, called the eye of Ma'at, your pineal. And when you decalcified the inner eye of Ma'at, then that eye would pierce through what was called the falcon eyes, the eyes of Heru, eye of the sun and eye of the moon. And then the inner truth, cosmic law, cosmic order, cosmic truth, the inner eye of Ma'at would pierce through these eyes with a resurrected Djed, and then we strengthen our Jedi. And that was that same symbol of Netjer. And so part of it was to resurrect our divine human nature, to resurrect that part of ourselves.
And to live infinite life.
And to live infinite life, yes. Where our soul, our death becomes good food. Like we enter back into the Ouroboros, a serpent eating its tail, where life that feeds death, that feeds rebirth again. Where we become good food. It's like somebody's like, what's your purpose in life? I was like, I want to be good food. You know what I mean? I want to be good food for life moving forward. May my life be of useful and helpful and of nourishment. And this was a part of it. We come here to like erect our divine human nature, resurrect the Jedi, to sit up, be here, and then also to be a part of the regenerative cycle. Like they're very big into agriculture and regenerative culture, where like everything was good food for more life to proliferate, even our soul. And it's really quite magnificent because the entire like topography of Kemet models that. It's not just like a concept, it's like in the land. Like the temples were considered embodiments of a Netjer. Like when you go into the temple of Abydos, you're entering into the circuitry system, the body of a god, Asar. And so when you go, you're going into the body and you're receiving the light from the future to learn, receive downloads, while simultaneously serving the land and receiving uploads from the land, and then communing with the codes of the temple, to then be a vehicle for the origins, the root systems, and the future. And this was like life. And then you made offerings, you did ritual, you fed. And we're remembering how to do that. And they also, too, it's just, I could go on and on and on. They also the sophistication around these sacred sites and how they're connected all across the earth in this like grand mathematical, magical mastery, that when you made a food, when you gave of your breath and your time, your energy, and your prayer to a temple, it then would connect to the energetic grid lines, or somewhere for the dragon lines or the etheric grid lines, and it would feed the other temples. But now we're in a time where we've forgotten some really important technologies like biogeometry on how to support this across the earth. So we're remembering how to do that, which is probably why a lot of us feel called to study in these indigenous ways, root systems, and then also study from the ancients to restore our memory.
Those days, ancient Egyptians, they understood that it's important to build relationships with the earth, right? With the elements, and also with divine, with other deities, gods, so you can have, better life, right?
Well, yeah, because they was like, as much as, one of the quotes, as much as we seek to commune with the divine, so does the divine seek to experience itself through us in the Ma, the mother, the material of the earth. So it was like a necessary tree of life relationship.
What I really want to hear is, you mentioned the principle Maat, and I want to hear from you about the principles of Maat and how we can also use those principles in this modern world.
Her name means truth, cosmic truth, cosmic order, cosmic justice, cosmic harmony. Not particularly my personal truth, my personal justice story. It's communing with what is at the heart and the essence. Like, because we know when it's our truth and we know when it's like truth. Everyone feels truth. It's different from my truth or your truth or her truth or their truth. There's something else that's in the center of that. And Ma'at was known to be one to, not only for the great weighing, but a lot of the system of checks and balances for people. They had these assessors called the 42 Ma'ati. And they were principles and laws, cosmic laws, that at one point all the people lived by, 42 of them. And one of the stories is that in the morning, you would go through they called them negative confessions. And you would say, I have not, I have not, I have not, I have not. And in the evening, in the morning you say, I will not, I will not, I will not, I will not. And in the evening, you would go back to those principles and say, I have not, I have not, I have not, I have not. Part of it was like protecting the waters, keeping counsel, maintaining good relations, honoring each other's property, making sure there's more than enough, embracing the all, honoring all altars with respect. There was a series of 42 laws that humans lived by on behalf of cosmic law, order, and truth that maintain harmony between all relations. Kind of goes back to the beginning of this conversation of Anafa Maulik. And so I feel like we're still learning what those are. We're learning what those are in a new way now. And so many of these old ancient laws apply to now. It's like we're still figuring it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like how this works. And one thing I feel like it helps is obviously our practices, but also like to decalcify the forgetting in the mind or the pineal. One of my teachers said, here, sometimes in the West, we just get and forget and get and forget. He's like, here at the altar, we give and we forgive. And we keep giving and we forgive. And in that way, we're restoring Ma'at. Because we're not trying to mine or mind anything or extract. We want to keep giving and forgiving. And because we're in a time of restoring the balance, while being adaptable simultaneously.
So Egyptians had a complex pantheon of gods and goddesses. How did these deities interact with the cosmos?
Sometimes they called the Netjer Neteru, or the Supreme Netjer, is a divine force, and that the different divinities, gods and goddesses, are permutations. They're different aspects of cosmic forces. It's versus there being one. So you'd relate to this particular Netjer as a thread of the cosmic force. And then this particular Netjer as a thread of this cosmic force. And they all served a different function, had a different principle, and served a different function. And so it's so very extensive, you know. It's like kind of you think about like a family, like the dad role, the mom role, the older sister role, the younger brother role, the auntie role, the great aunt role. And it was very similar like that. But then they were also had lineages, you know, like there's the primordials, they're called the Tepia'un, the ancestors of Un. And you have different cosmic forces that are permutations that emanate from it for crafting and creating. And so the principles are these unique aspects. So instead of just communing with the divine, it might be crafting and co-shaping with this particular aspect of the divine. Does that make sense?
Like you communicate with Bastet, right? For protection of the house, for example, right?
Yeah, and like also pleasure and also milk, you know? But then Kemet, who's the lion, is a totally different vibe, you know? And Ra, super different vibe. You know, and some are more materialized, closest to our local universe, and some would be more like spacious. They're not necessarily, it's like what's more materialized, what's more subtle. And this is where the descendants and ascendants come from. Like this more materialized Netjer is a descendant from this more subtle Netjer.
Right.
Back and forth. Yeah.
Can you recommend some rituals or practices from ancient Egypt that can help us in daily life or, you know, or just to make this world a better place?
Holy waters of life. One of the most simple rituals we can do is pray out loud in gratitude and reverence to the waters in our body and the water in the glass and the water when we shower and the water when we wash the dishes. That's one simple ancient Egyptian ritual that all indigenous and origin people connect to.
What about like Blue Lotus ceremonies?
Oh yeah, Blue Lotus. I mean, I'm a devotee of the Blue Lotus. You know, communing with this plant being for sure. And also, if you don't have access to this plant for some reason, there are ways you can. But if you don't and you're just at home, you can also connect with the spirit of the Blue Lotus. Because there's a way too where sometimes when we connect through language and prayer to these plants, they start to be like, oh, you're interested? Let's hang out, you know, and they find their way to you. Yeah, but definitely Blue Lotus. That's one of my plant teachers for sure.
What about rose? Do you do like rose rituals?
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know that you do.
I'm also a humble servant to the rose.
Yeah. All right, so I know that it's time for you to go to airport. And thank you so much. We're definitely going to do part 2 because I want to really dive deeper into ancient Egyptian wisdom and cosmology. But thank you so much for sharing your story and your knowledge. And I hope this conversation will inspire people to live a better life and also study spirituality and different ancient traditions and especially such as ancient Egyptian wisdom and traditions. And thank you for educating us. And also, I invite everyone to check ISIS Academy of Oracle Arts. So if you want to learn more, you know, that's why ISIS created this beautiful platform for to elevate our consciousness and help us to shape the best versions of ourselves. Thank you so much,
Thank you so much. Yeah. Rushing to the airport. Thank you.
Wise Talks is delighted to have listeners like you as part of our community. If you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed creating it, please like, subscribe, and share across social and podcast platforms. For more about our company, please visit wisetalks.com. That's W1SE Talks.com. To sponsor an episode or a series, please contact ash@wise.com. That's ASH@W1SE.com.